Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Abigail. If you're new, I was born with a rare birth defect that affects my size and development, and I'm also tube fed, and I make videos about my life. So today is going to be a little bit different of a video. This wasn't something that I was asked on here, but I feel like it's one of those things that people wonder but are too scared to ask. And to be honest, most questions when it comes to my birth defect or disability, I don't mind answering them as long as it's, not asked in a rude way, which I don't really feel like it is. I feel like people are just curious. So today I'm going to be talking about my birth defect, congenital diaphragmatic hernia, and if I'm going to have kids, and kind of what that looks like. So, to start off, I want to say that I've always been really good with kids. I've always loved kids. I always knew I wanted a lot of kids. When I got older, if you don't know, I have a little brother who is 12 now. We're 12 and a half years apart. And shortly after my little brother Daniel was born, my grandpa, my mom's dad, passed from cancer. And before that happened, my mom was with our grandpa a lot, and because of that, me and my older brother and my dad was here with my little brother Daniel. He was born March, April, May, June, July. Our grandpa passed the day that Daniel turned 4 months old, so he was just a baby. And during that time, because my mom wasn't home a lot, I would help watch Daniel as a baby. And because of that, I got a lot of practice. I was like a second mom. I mean, my dad was here, but, I got a lot of practice. And then when I got a little older, I worked at a daycare for a while. I mostly worked in the 2-year-old room. But I also worked sometimes, or one time, like in the preschool room, which is like 3-year-olds. So I had some experience with kids, and when I was just a kid, I was obsessed with dolls, and I always told my parents that they weren't dolls, they were foster kids. And so I didn't call them babies, and I didn't call them baby dolls. I called them my foster kids, and still I want to adopt in the future, probably sometime after I'm married in the future. I would like to adopt. That's still something that I would really, really like to do. So anyways, going back to whether or not I'm able to have kids. I'm not really safely able to have kids because my birth defect affects my insides, and um, there were things that were not able to be fixed. My hernia was not able to be fixed, as well as I have gastroparesis, which is partially paralyzed stomach from a previous surgery. So, because of the health issues I have, I'm not able to safely have my own kids, but I knew for many, many years that adopting was something I really wanted to do. And so that's still the plan for the future. Eventually move out, get married, and hopefully adopt a few kids. I don't really know how many kids I want to adopt. I've always known that I've always wanted a big family, but I'm not really sure how many kids. We'll just see how it goes. But I've always been really good with, kids in general, but specifically, 2-year-olds, 2 and 3-year-olds that I've watched, in the past. Their parent will, come up to me and they'll be like, you are their favorite person. So, it's really cool to be able to be the mom figure to, these other kids, that I know, and it's been really fun. We have a couple little kids at our church right now, and, it's fun to watch them, and, I haven't, been able to hold any of them, but I've always, really enjoyed being around kids. They really make me really happy, and, yeah, it's always been pretty fun. Trying to think of what other questions people might have about that. And actually, I'm not really sad about not having my own kids, because every kid that I have watched, whether they were in a daycare or, whether I watched a kid at church, I've always treated them like they were mine. So not being able to safely have my own kids, that's okay with me, because I know that whenever I adopt in the future, even if I didn't give birth to them, they will be my kids. And I think that, the story that I have with my life, surviving a very severe birth defect, I think that will be a cool story one of these days, to be like, my mom survived that, and this is something that I wanted to talk about, because I think it's something that people wonder, but they don't really want to ask, because sometimes people get nervous, feeling like it's gonna, come across rude, but I don't really find it rude at all. I try to be as open as I can about my disability as much as possible, and to spread awareness for my birth defect. So, Anyways, thank you all so much for watching. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, everyone.